for the main event, I'd like to welcome you to the Mount Vernon Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. And I'd like to have you please welcome our moderator, David Lukov of Kern Funeral Home.
Good afternoon. Let me share with you the ground rules we'll be having for this afternoon's debate. Each candidate will have 1 minute for opening statements, 1 minute to answer each question, and then 30 seconds for closing statements. We'll have a timer down here, Miss Sylvia, who will hold up a sign that'll say 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then stop. And by the way, for any of you that decide you don't want to stop, I brought my tape measure with me, and I've got a perfect casket just for you to measure. So, I was taught in college by a professor, verbosity is no virtue. Now, questions have been prepared by the Chamber Government Affairs Committee. Now, questions can be submitted from you in the audience. There are some note cards and pens at each table. But I need to warn you, they should not be directed just at one candidate. If it is, I won't read it. You need to make sure it's something that both candidates can answer and that is fair. The order for opening statements was drawn by a chamber volunteer, and the order for closing statements will be reversed. Candidates will alternate who answers each question first. Finally, I don't need to remind you that we should be conducting ourselves in a respectful way today. Our candidates, anybody doing public speaking, it's very nervous. But this is not a time to share any negative feedback or comments. In fact, for those who do not respectfully treat our four speakers and candidates in a respectful way, we'll be hauled away in my body bag that I keep in the trunk of my car. And you'll be visiting my crematory at Kern. I've been told this afternoon we've got openings. Don't mess with me. So with that in mind, let me invite our mayoral candidates, Jill Boudreau and Sarah Nuanez, to come forward. And you both have already passed the first test. You did not trip coming up on stage. My biggest fear of all time. And if you want to sit or stand, it doesn't matter to me, whatever you want to do in answering these questions. But we're going to start with the opening statements. And Sarah,
I'm going to go first.
You get to go first. So 1 minute, starting now.
Hello, my name is Sarah Nuanez, and I am running for the position of the mayor for the Mount Vernon. I love this city, and I am committed to leading it in a new direction. Specifically, my business background in banking has prepared me to lead with the skill sets in collaboration, consensus strategy, and interpersonal relational skills. The more I study and prepare to earn your vote, I understand that these types of leadership qualities are needed right now to be able to tackle not only some of the more difficult issues we are facing, but the day-to-day business in running City Hall, where building up morale and retaining talented staff are essential. As mayor, you will have my commitment and my intuition to lean into regional issues through discussions and alliances with key stakeholders to help create sustainable solutions to serve you. I have had the privilege to raise my family in this beautiful city, and I look forward to being your mayor.
You were faster than my tape measure, so very good, Sarah. Thank you. Jill, 1 minute, please.
All right. You ready, Sylvia? All right. Thank you so much for the Chamber for hosting us here today. I ran for this position to show how government could be transparent, effective, and connected to the community, and my team and I have proven that that can occur. Our flood protection is finished. We have completed more transportations than the decade prior. Our tax rate is the lowest in 15 years, and our public safety services are strong. The next 4 years are crucial for our city. Redevelopment is starting downtown, and our community is growing. I'm asking for your vote to continue the success and consistency of our city team. I have the confidence of my employees, as evidenced by endorsements. As businesses, you understand the importance of hiring the best person to make you successful. I hold an MBA and a bachelor's in business and have proven results. The choice on November 5 is for a CEO, for an executive who will lead a $75 million organization and responsible for 10 service businesses. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. We're going to start with the first question, again, that the committee has put together. And Sarah, we'll start with you with question number 1. What is your vision for our community? Please answer with your top 3 priorities and why you've chosen them.
And we have a minute.
1 minute.
All right. So my top 3 would absolutely be dealing with the homeless situation, the housing situation that we are in right now. The crisis is very apparent, and it's time that we do something about the housing crisis. I think it's very important that we look at downtown, see how we can revitalize downtown, how we can connect West Side to the downtown, how we can make that more accessible, how we can tap into all the availability on West Side. And another thing that my top 1 would be just really fostering community. Community is so important, and we need to be out there. We need to be transparent. We need to let the community know what's going on and how important it is of everything that we do.
Thank you, sir. Boy, that's impressive for 1 minute. Jill?
So my vision consists of 3 things. Economic stability is a big one. We're projecting flat growth in our economy for next year, which means that we won't have any extra money to provide services. We had a 43% increase in sales tax collections in the last 8 years, but again, we consider that to be flat, but we have a population growth of 8%. So we need to be able to grow our economy to support our services. Homeless, mental health, and substance abuse, of course, that is a forefront issue of our time. We don't receive any funding in the city to address those issues, so the steps that we have taken to date are actionable. You can find those on our city website. Proactively hiring a social worker in our police department, park ranger, and partnering with other services. And housing and jobs. Affordable housing is decisions of the policymakers in our city, which is the City Council. And we've worked very diligently for the last 4 years on a work plan, introducing codes and zoning, starting from the most vulnerable to market rate today. You can find that work plan on our city website under the Affordable Housing webpage.
Thank you, Jill. We'll move to the second question. Jill, you'll be answering this one first. Sure. And the question is this: how do you plan on improving the business climate in Mount Vernon?
So the businesses are the key component in driving our economy. One of the biggest things is to protect our commercial and residential land development in our city. Right now, 2/3 of you live in residential communities and support the tax base for our services. What's important for us is to come and listen to you, and we enact ordinances that would affect any amount of the business. We currently support the Chamber with $117,000 to operate a business center to welcome folks into the community. And we also tout our fiber optic network, which over the last 8 years has had a 300% growth in connections. If you're not online, make sure you give us a call so that you can get that. We have 4 different areas that we're growing our business. Tourism is one, and that's with our value-added agriculture, breweries and things coming to town. I mentioned our tech. We're growing under our small advanced manufacturing, small parcels of land that can be developed in town. And I'm speaking at the Cascadia Innovation Corridor Conference to bring that to town.
Thank you. Sarah?
So I've been in the banking industry for close to 2 decades, and I have worked with several small businesses and helping them find solutions to better their business. I think small businesses are key to the success of any community. I commit to working shoulder to shoulder with them to see how we can help as a city to help their businesses grow, get developed. What we can do as a city to bring in more people to allow their businesses to flourish. And I commit to doing that with a team of experts and finding out exactly what we need. But it's very important that we positively stand next to them and help them with that.
Thank you, Sarah. Andy, I'm going to look out for you, because if there are any people who have questions that they would like to ask, please pass those to Andy. We're going to come to question number 3, and Sarah, you're going to start first. And this again deals with homelessness, which obviously, as both of you know, is a big issue for us. Do you see value in forming a coalition to address the homeless issue? And if so, who would you include?
I think it is an absolutely a regional issue, but I see it day in and day out. I work right on College Way. We have customers all the time coming in that are dealing with homeless. It's going to take a village to be able to even remotely do anything to be able to combat that issue. We are definitely going to need to partner with several nonprofit, public-private entities to be able to help with that. There's a lot of funding out there. If we can find the specific criteria of what we're focusing on, there's funding out there that we can do. But it's going to be imperative that we partner with everyone and hit this together, not only as the city of Mount Vernon, as being the heartbeat of the county, and lead the way for Burlington, Anacortes, Cedar Woolley, and everyone who is close to us.
Thank you, Sarah. Jill?
I absolutely support a coalition because I'm a member of one right now. There's the Skagit Coalition to End Homelessness, which is headed through Community Action, and Skagit County is currently working on their plan to end homelessness, which I've attended every single one of those meetings. But as a city specifically, we have, I'm very proud that I'm the first mayor in 2017 to bring this issue to the forefront and to gather a group of coalition members, the Chamber, the Downtown Association, Friendship House, service providers, and police. We got together back then, we identified what we needed to do, and we've been working on that very diligently. Through our PERT program with the city, we've done everything from compassion to enforcement. There must be a balance in this, and we have to partner, of course, with Friendship House and other service providers, and we've done just that. We've made a lot of strides. It can't all fall on our police and our law enforcement, and so that's why we brought in resources such as a social worker, CDBG funding, the first city in our county to work on a permanent supported housing for homelessness issues. I'm very proud of the work we've done.
Thank you both. I'm going to ask one more question from the committee, then I've got a couple here that I will use. Thank you folks for some good questions. We won't be able to use all of them, but I really appreciate it. The fourth question is, what experience and skills do you have that qualify you to effectively manage the budget and personnel of the city? Jill, we'll start with you and then Sarah.
Sure. I think my record has proven that we can effectively manage the budget. Of course, we hire amazing people. Doug Gillespie, our finance director, is here. But what's really important as the leader is when directors come in preparing their budgets, that you have goals and criteria that they must defend what they want to spend to, and measurable goals that they will defend to. In the city budget, it's 89% non-discretionary. That's a very small amount for us to work with and present to our city council for adoption, but we do that. 89% goes to people who deliver the services in 10 different business lines. So it's very important that we're aware of that. The money that we receive for operating is made up of property tax and sales tax, and there's a finite amount of money of that every single year. So it's asking our directors to be as efficient as possible, provide information for me to make decisions on purchasing equipment to make them more successful, and software, things like that. So it's very important that we've done that. I think my record proves that we've been effective, and I'm qualified.
Thank you. Sarah?
So like I stated before, I've been in the financial industry for approximately 2 decades. I have managed a $25 million base to a $200 million base. I have worked with several staff members on training, teaching, and working the way up to, unfortunately, they move on and they get promoted, so then it starts all over again. However, it's very imperative that we start from the get-go when it comes to staffing, that we're looking at making sure we're hiring qualified leaders to make sure that they can manage those departments, that we are spending our money efficiently, that we are making sure we're taking care of our staff. It's important that people leave for two reasons. It's typically leadership, and it's not because they don't feel valued. So it's very important to be able to stay within budget, to make sure you're treating your staff properly and that they retain them.
Thank you. We have a couple excellent questions that I want to ask that comes from our audience, and I'm sorry I can't use them all. I know we've had a couple people ask questions about homelessness. I'm going to move to some other questions just to provide some diversity as moderator. This question is: Latino population and Latino businesses are growing in Skagit County. The Chamber recently started their Latino Business Leaders Initiative to help this population prosper in our community. What role do you see yourself playing to ensure success for Latino business leaders? Sarah, we'll start with you.
That is an absolutely great question. My children have all been a part of the dual language program, so I've been dealing with that community, supporting them for years. So I really, it's really partnering with the people who are able to help with that. There's always tends to be a language barrier. I can't speak Spanish, but it's definitely working side by side with partners who have the knowledge, the education that they can teach these business owners, that they can give them the support that they need to make sure that their business is running smoothly. And it really goes back to education and just networking and knowing how to tap them into all the resources that are available to them.
Thank you. Jill?
So when we talk about different cultures in our community, it's very important that we understand the relationship building and the cultural differences. And what I have found is that our Latino community is very warm. They want that personal face-to-face relationship with them. So I've spent time at our Colson Creek Street Fair, time with Latino Moms Group that meets with Officer Serrano in our neighborhood station on Saturday mornings, time visiting those businesses and encouraging them, getting to know them as people. So that's number one, is being really in tune to what makes sense for them. Also, the fact that we support the Chamber of Commerce, we want to be able to, again, point them to the resources, to encourage those small businesses, and to, again, make them feel inclusive, not set apart, but they are part of all of our prosperity going forward.
Thank you. Last question. We'll start with Jill. Please share your thoughts on the potential for development on the Riverwalk.
Yes.
So development on the Riverwalk is just around the corner. We finished our FEMA flood certification. In preparation for that, over the last couple of years, I've reached out to developers up and down the I-5 corridor that have done amazing projects that align with those particular community values that make sense for those communities. And here's what they told us. They said, we want to come in and invest in Mount Vernon, and here's the things that we want your government to do. We'd like consistency in your regulations, we want fast permitting service, and we'd like the city to invest in infrastructure. And that's exactly what we have done to set the stage for this development. Starting in October, we will have the largest private investment starting in downtown in the old Alfco site, $20 million of valuation. Again, largest private investment in more than a decade. And that took 2.5 years of cultivation of relationship to make happen. We know that people are lined up and want to invest, including some folks taking advantage of our opportunity zone with $50 million as a target to invest in the city. Hotels, yes. Mixed use, yes. Housing, yes.
Thank you. Sarah?
So I'll start right where she left off. It's going to absolutely, the housing, the hotels, we need to have this place to make Mount Vernon that destination location that everyone wants to go to. So getting a hotel downtown within walking distance from our bus station, from our train station, that they can come downtown, stay the night, eat at our restaurants, build up that economy. Another, in my research I've done, is looking at possibly deeming Mount Vernon as historical. When you do that, you tap into a whole nother set of resources that aren't available to just anybody. So if we look at that, that could potentially help a lot of people as well. Also, making a safe walking area. If we were to block off a certain area within downtown, we would be able to create a more vibrant, community-focused area that would make people want to come down and spend their money in downtown.
Sarah, thank you very much. We're going to come now to our closing remarks. You only have 30 seconds. Jill, we're going to let you start first.
All right, thank you.
Be fast.
I'd like to invite you to my website to learn more about me, jillformayor.com, and the city website for proof of our great city work. Mount Vernon is successful with critical infrastructure, expansion in parks, library, public safety, and we have innovative ways of doing business. Yes, we continue to face challenges head-on, such as homelessness and isolated violence, and together we will continue positive efforts that are already underway. Through good and bad, my sole mission as CEO is the well-being of this community. Mount Vernon is rising. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jill. Sarah?
I love Mount Vernon. Raising my 3 daughters here has been a privilege that I want to continue for them to have, to raise their families and start their careers here. I'm not a career politician. However, my banking career has given me the skill set to lead Mount Vernon in a new direction, one of inclusiveness and community. Citizens have trusted me with their financial needs for almost 2 decades. Everyone has to start somewhere. And that goes really fast.
I know. Jill and Sarah, amazing answers to the questions. Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. And at this time, I'm going to invite our 2 city council candidates to come forward. Aaron Moberg, who's the incumbent, and the challenger, Shelley Acero. So with the luck of the draw, Aaron, we're going to let you go first with your opening statement, 1 minute.
Sure. First of all, I want to say thank you to the Mount Vernon Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and to each of you for being here and being involved. My name is Erin. I grew up in Mount Vernon and graduated from Mount Vernon High School. I received my nursing degree from Bellingham Technical College and my Bachelor in Nursing from Western Governors University. I work for a really great group of doctors here in town at Cascade Ear, Nose, and Throat as a registered nurse, and I'm also a maternity support services provider in our community. I'm a little nervous. My husband and I have 2 young children. They're 2 and 4, and just as wild and busy as you can imagine kids are at that age, but they're a lot of fun. I've had a unique opportunity to serve on our council. I was appointed by the city council as a whole to fill a vacant seat at the beginning of this year, and it's been an honor serving in the community that I grew up in. I've learned a lot about the issues we're facing, our homelessness crisis and our shortage of housing, and also exciting opportunities for our city. I want to do my part in keeping Mount Vernon a great place to raise a family and a place where businesses are successful.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Shelley?
Good morning. My name is Shelley Acero, and I'm running for Ward 1 City Council, Mount Vernon. I believe that you don't just belong, you participate, and that's why I'm running for City Council. I've served in local government for over the last 30 years, and I'm currently the chairperson for the Mount Vernon Planning Commission, where I've served for the last 6 years. There are 3 areas that I really would like to focus on. The first being strengthening our downtown corridor with economic vitality. I think you do that by collaboration between developers, city and business owners to create an environment where you can have more affordability in housing and less homelessness. Secondly, strong public safety policies where you can ensure strong and vibrant neighborhoods. And thirdly, strong fiscal responsibility, because we have to remember who we serve and ensure that we're being good stewards of their finances and resources. Again, I'm Shelley Acero, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you both very much. We're going to start, I'm going to have the first question. Aaron, I'm going to be starting with you. And that question is this: what do you see as the role and responsibilities of the City Council to be, and how do they relate to the roles of the mayor?
Okay, that's a good question. So I think it's really important for the city council to have a very respectful relationship with the mayor. We work closely together. Sorry, I might be a little bit confused about this question. I think that the role of the city council, making policy, it's important that we all are independent thinkers and respect each other's opinions and work together to come to a happy medium together on our decisions we make. And then we work closely with the mayor. We get direction from her city staff. They're all very, very impressive to me. They all work really hard and want the best for the city of Mount Vernon. So we all work closely together and collaborate to make the best policy decisions that we think we can for the community members. So thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Shelley?
Well, the main difference between the city council members and the mayor is the mayor would oversee the day-to-day operations at the city. The city council determines the legislative policies. So we take votes on ordinances, code enforcement, zoning regulations, that type of thing. The areas of most concern to the city that's put before the city council to vote on. It's important that the city council respects the boundaries between the mayor and city council. They don't necessarily not overlap, but there's points that they don't. You have good understanding with your staff as far as what it is that they're bringing to the city council. If you don't, it's your job as a city council member to go before the staff and ask what it is that they're asking for. But absolutely to work collaboratively with the mayor at the city and just make sure that we have a respectful, as Erin said, a respectful relationship on both sides.
Thank you, Shelley. Here's the next question, and it's actually a similar question we asked our mayoral candidates. And Shelley, we'll start with you. What is your vision for our community? Please answer with your top 3 priorities and why you've chosen them.
Okay. Well, as I said at the beginning, I think economic vitality is crucial. I think that if we don't have a good collaboration between developers and the city and business owners, it's not going to allow us a very strong foundation to have more affordable housing and to deal with our homelessness issue. Homelessness is a huge issue facing every city across the United States. It's not just Mount Vernon, it's not Burlington, it's every city in the United States. The idea of having strong public safety policies whereby we enable our police force to proactively go out there. As Mayor Boudreau had mentioned, we have the embedded social worker that goes out there and provides service information for homeless people, and then strong fiscal accountability. You need to remember who it is that you're serving. The citizens are the one who pays the tax dollars, and that's the most important thing that you have to keep in mind when you're spending those dollars.
Thank you, Shelley. Erin?
Is this good enough? Okay.
Yeah. Just want to be heard.
My vision for Mount Vernon is, first of all, we need housing desperately right now. And I think it's important that the city works collaboratively with our local developers and builders, not just local, but out of town ones that want to come here and help us create housing. That's an important relationship we have to have. We also need to continue to invest in our city so that we're attracted to businesses that want to come here and so that businesses can be successful. And then I want to see a clean and safe city for the community members to be in with their families and for visitors to come and feel safe here. So I think we've done a really great job of working with our homeless population to not only help them find services they need, but also with a little bit of enforcement for the ones that need that from the police department. I'd like to see more parking for downtown, so we're working on that for the city. That will be really good for us. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Andy, again, if you have any questions you'd like to ask our candidates, please hold up your cards if you've got any. I've got plenty of questions here, so we're going to go to the third question. Erin, we're going to start with you, and this, again, is dealing with homelessness. What solutions for homelessness can the city accomplish by itself, or in collaboration with others?
Sure. I think as a city, we've done a really great job so far. We've hired a social worker that works closely with our police department, and she's done a really great job at outreach and helping the homeless population find resources that they might need. We've created ordinances that help create pathways to serve the homeless population. And we've partnered with our county and our Catholic services to create permanent supportive housing. So that will create 70 units for people to live in and also to get the services that they need in our community. That's going to be a really good project coming our way soon. So just continuing to work with local organizations that are willing to help also, because the city can't do it alone. We don't have a large budget for social services. And so just really finding anybody willing to help and partnering with them. Thank you.
Shelley?
Well, no one person can do it on its own. No one city council can do it on its own. It's a collaboration between nonprofits, the city, and citizens. I know it's something that's on everybody's mind, but we all have to remember homelessness in and of itself is not a crime. It might have some criminal elements that go with it, so we have to be careful that we're treating even the homeless with respect that they deserve as well. It's hard to distinguish saying somebody with a mom and a child sitting in a park all day is any different from somebody else who we perceive as homeless sitting in a park all day. So we need to be careful with that. But I think that there is some services that are available. We have the opportunity with the permanent supportive housing that's coming up. That is all around encompassing. It provides the mental health as well as the places for them to go without leaving that area. They don't have to go anywhere to get those services. It's provided right there. So it's just collaboration between nonprofits, the citizens, and the city.
Thank you. And one more question about not homelessness, but housing.
Mm-hmm.
And housing is an issue that we're facing with a lack of supply and affordability. What solutions would you advocate? Shelley, we'll start with you.
Well, I've actually long been a proponent of doing something to help the developers, because after all, they're in it to make a profit. They're not there to not make a profit. Mount Vernon right now is doing something where they're increasing the density so that developers actually can build more units, have a certain portion set aside for them that is for affordable housing. The difference being that affordable housing units that they were previously required to make, they were kept affordable for a period of time. Now we're looking at making it so that they're affordable permanently. And that's a really big step forward. We need to make sure that the developers don't have such a hard time with regulations, that they're able to build those housing units and keeping them affordable for everybody. And that's pretty much what we're doing in that arena.
Great, thank you, Shelley. Aaron?
So right now we need housing for all ranges of incomes and lifestyles. So we need a variety of housing. Recently, myself and a couple other council members, we met with local developers and builders to ask what roadblocks they're finding so that we can work together to get things done. We want things done sooner than later. So we took that info back to the city council, and right now we are reviewing our code amendments that are going to allow more flexible zoning and more density bonuses, because that's what the developers are asking for. They're not going to build if it's not profitable. So we're working together to make things happen. Right now we have 336 potential units in the works, and as soon as we make these changes, that could change it to 531. So housing is coming. There's a lot of people working on this. And I think we need to also work with the community and find out what the community members want to see for housing here. So, thank you.
Thank you. And then I'm going to ask one last question, and we'll get to our closing comments. And this is one I also asked the mayoral candidates. What can the city do to improve the economic vitality of Mount Vernon? And Aaron, we'll start with you.
I think we need to continue to keep up with the technology changes that we're seeing, and I think the city has done a really good job of that. We've invested in fiber optic for our businesses, that helps benefit the businesses with faster internet. We need to continue to invest in ourselves, and we've done that with our downtown waterfront project. Excuse me. We need to create housing because we need housing that the workforce can afford to live here. And we just need to continue the great projects that we're working on. So more parking for downtown and just investing in ourselves.
Great, thank you. Shelley?
We need to make sure that our business owners feel like they have an ear. In other words, when they come to the city with a complaint about something, that they feel like they're truly being listened to and that there's some solutions that hopefully are on the horizon and being provided to them. Creating small pockets of areas that come into the downtown area, pubs, eateries that make you want to come downtown. I don't know about all of you, but when I go to a small town and I think, gosh, this is really inviting, it makes me want to go down there. Rather than, God, there's really not very much that they're offering down here, so I'll go into another neighboring city. We need to encourage the businesses and the developers with the city to make it easier and provide opportunities with them, whether it be by providing some additional incentives for the downtown corridor to the business owners there. And then make sure that we're providing clean and safe streets because people really want to come where they feel like it's a pleasant place to be.
Thank you. We're down to an hour of closing comments, and Shelley, we'll start with you, 30 seconds.
Okay. 30 seconds is not very long. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning and talk with you. I know that your time is important, and so it's really nice that you chose to be here. It's very valuable to me. And I'm sure to Erin as well. I would like to accomplish things as a city council person, but I need your support in order to be able to do that. And so I'm going to close by leaving you with a Margaret Mead quote, which is that we're continually faced with great opportunities that we look at as unsolvable problems. Oh, sorry, didn't get to finish it.
You got most of them.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Erin?
Okay, I just want to say thank you again to everybody here today. It's truly been an honor serving on the City Council, and I hope to continue to have the opportunity. I believe I bring a new energy and a different perspective to the City Council that hasn't been there before. And if elected, I promise to be dedicated to the position and really dedicated to our community members and our business owners. I will always be open-minded, ready to listen, and have a positive outlook for our city. So I would appreciate your support this November. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both very much. Let's give our panelists a round of applause. And by the way, I'm impressed that we have 4 outstanding candidates that are running. I also am impressed that they can. Public speaking, as most of you know, is the most nervous thing you can do. In fact, psychological studies have been done on that, where we found that, public speaking is the biggest fear followed by death. What's ironic about that is usually what I think of is that it's probably more comfortable to lay in the casket than it is to sit up here. Please take time to inform yourself about each candidate. Take time to maybe talk with them. Look at their websites. Take time to thoroughly analyze their positions, and then in November, please vote. Thank you very much.